Perfect. Okay, then let's get started. Uh, First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Goran, and I have been working in the industry since 2016. My career path is pretty unconventional, I would say. I started like working as a computer network administrator, and quickly it became a responsibility of a DevOps engineer without even me knowing that. And that's basically a beginner's mistake, I would say. So after that, I have been working on various positions as a freelancer. And in 2022, I have opened my company, AdVision Agency. We specialize in implementing AI systems to B2B and B2C environments. And basically, today I'll try to explain to you the fundamental approach to DevOps. Like, we'll just touch on everything about DevOps and like who is this course for, why would you need this course, what will you learn from it, and like we'll touch on some like fundamentals and principles of the DevOps. So let's get started. Basically, what we want to cover today is the importance of DevOps. Let's touch on the history about DevOps. Basically, before the DevOps, what does it even mean? DevOps means developer and operations. So basically, it's a link that connects developers and operations. Basically, imagine that we have a big company that has a software, and when developers make an update or create a new feature, that feature needs to be implemented to the product itself. That's where the DevOps engineer comes in. And today, with the like with the GitHub and like other version control systems that are in place right now and that came out, this process seems pretty easy. But like let's say in 1980s or 1970s, that process wasn't as simple as it is now. Importance, like before, when people wanted to do an update or something, they would need to wait at least a couple of weeks before implementing that update. So for example, think about it like this. You released a product to the public and there is a huge exploit in the product. You have a fix for the product, you have everything set up, but you need to wait 2 weeks for it to go live. How much money will the company lose? What will happen to the company in that time? All things that are really important. And that's how the DevOps really became a thing. Also, this all might sound like it's super hard or complicated, but in reality, it really isn't. It's pretty easy, I would say. You just need to be committed to learning this, and basically I will serve as a accountability partner, so you don't have any worries there. Okay, let's move on. Overview, DevOps. Basically, as I said before, philosophy of DevOps is to have a environment that will connect developers and the operations. Basically, operations are IT operations. So like when the update comes to a new product or anything like that, how quickly will it be deployed to the public? Why is it so important? As I said before, for example, when the first DevOps came out, the risk of like the price of DevOps not being good enough was it's possible for the whole company to go bankrupt. And over time, it evolved for like CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Like let's say in 1990s, Chief Technology Officer was appointed to a DevOps position. Now, back then, they didn't have all the software and all the software control that they have now, but also then it was really important for the product to be, what's the word, to be successfully integrated to the production. Okay, like what's also history, background of DevOps, benefits of DevOps. As I said before the whole company was at risk of going under because of this, because of the updates and the production that needed to be happen. Right now, the risk is minimal, I would say. Like everything can be done from the GitHub. There are many softwares that allow the ease of access, and you can do it all pretty much easily today. Key concepts and practices, we'll touch more on that later. Why is it important to have an integrated approach to DevOps? Oh, sorry. Why is it important to have an integrated approach to DevOps? Well, mostly because you need to be very familiar with many tools and many practices and principles to have a good understanding and to be successful at approaching DevOps. So basically, some of the tools that we'll cover are Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible, Jenkins. All of those are tools that have different, what's it called? Different use cases. And basically, the thing is with them, we'll cover mostly of the tools. The point of this course is not to bore you too much with all the theory and like all the stuff that you must or must not know, all the stuff that you can basically Google right now and learn in like a couple of minutes that you can read through. That's not what this course is about. What this course is about is to really teach you the projects and to let you work on the projects that are in demand in the industry right now. That is the really point of this course. But there are some fundamentals and some knowledge that you must know if you want to successfully complete these projects. So like, just get through it. The role of automation, basically DevOps is automating everything. That's one principle. You can basically, in DevOps, you can basically automate everything from like, instead of someone writing a code and then you have to manually, imagine a big company with around like, let's say 1,000 of employees, and it has around like 100 or 200 developers who are all working on the same product. And imagine you as a DevOps engineer that you have to manually change all of the code changes that those developers made to the product itself. It will be pretty impossible task because there are like thousands of things that can go wrong, from like error to the code itself to like load differences or merge conflicts. So that's why we have automation in the DevOps. Basically today everything is done automatically. Your job as a DevOps engineer is to ensure that you set up the automation correctly and to be there to monitor it so that everything goes smoothly. Integrated approach means that you will have to use, you will need to familiarize yourself with a couple of tools, and basically you will need to monitor the whole continuous delivery or continuous integration pipeline, and you will need to log everything and to make sure that security and integration is up to date. Okay, We'll move on. As I said before, what's really important here in this course is to work on industry projects. I have prepared a number of projects that we'll work on, and basically this course, like first of all, we'll have a couple of fundamentals. Like first week or two, we'll have fundamentals that we need to go through. That's some basic knowledge that you need to have to complete it. And after that, we'll start moving on to industry projects. Basically, projects like create an infrastructure as a code, create an automatic deployment of remote servers, or like configure servers so it works with a couple of tools that we might use, and stuff like that. Now, why is that important? Basically, the thing is, we have a lot of connections with a lot of HR departments in the industry itself. And we are not new to like assisting beginners, or we might not even be beginners. Some of you might even work in the industry and you just want to know more about the DevOps because you want to get a promotion in the company, or you just need the knowledge for a couple of your projects. But basically, if you want to get a job in the DevOps industry, basically we will assist you in the placement, because we have a lot of connections in a lot of HR departments, and we do know what is needed for the company to, like, what's the word, uh, to accept you as an employee. We will assist you with everything from like resume, CV creation to like portfolio, website creation, and we'll also have like tech interviews, so you'll be prepared. And basically the purpose of this course is to train you in the DevOps field, and let you work on industry projects that you can include in your resume and CV. And after you can include those projects, the thing is that those projects are industry projects. For example, let's say that your future employee is looking for a DevOps engineer, and there are two developers who apply. One of them has a regular, like he just got out of the college or whatever, and he doesn't have that much of experience. He might get an internship, but like if we are talking about DevOps engineering, there is no junior developer position. Like there is only a meteor of a DevOps engineer, basically that's called DevOps engineer, or there is a senior DevOps engineer. And on the other hand, you have a guy who completed a course and he has 5 or 10 projects in his resume or CV. And when employer starts looking through his CV, he will see that those projects are some of the projects that the client, that the employer is working for, is needed. Who do you think will be more likely to be employed? The guy who has no experience, just got out of the college or university, or the guy who has completed countless of complex industry projects? Okay, we'll get. Of course, this is, I would say, completing the DevOps and being a DevOps engineer isn't too hard, but there are some challenges. Some of the common challenges are being overwhelmed and thinking that, like, also one important thing in the software development industry is the imposter syndrome. We'll also talk about how you can deal with that and what strategy and tips are best to overcome that. And I think the biggest challenge of all of them is the accountability. Basically, most of you probably know that when you start doing a course, or when you decide that you want to start getting into in the industry, or you want to get a job, you start setting up a goal and you start working towards that goal. But most of us only complete 30% of that before completely giving up or giving our attention to something else. That's why I think that accountability is very important in this case, or any case. If you try anything to do in your if you try to do anything in your life, you have to be held accountable by someone. And that's like the only thing that will make sure that you complete everything that you need to complete, and you need to do everything that you need to do. All right. Like, the tips and strategies for overcoming those challenges are, I would say, best strategy is to have an accountability partner. We're also here building a community. You will have a couple of accountability partners that will allow you to progress in your career, and that will help hold you accountable, so that you make sure that you complete the whole course, you complete all the projects, you complete all the assignments. You will have to work hard. That's the thing. You will have to be committed, but it's not complex, and it's pretty easy if you get the hang of it. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, basically the conclusion. Uh, Key points that you have to remember are: who is this course for? As I said before, if you are a student, or if you are already in the industry, you want to get into the industry, or you want to get promoted in your job. Basically, there are a lot of software developers that have decided to quit software development and basically move on to DevOps. And DevOps is basically development plus operations. Basically, that's a link that allows operations to communicate with development. That's like, today that's a like regular thing, but before, like in history, that was something that was really rare, and that was one of the biggest problems why IT companies went under and went bankrupt. Um, like, I think I covered everything. Who is this course for? What's the purpose of this course? As I said before, purpose is to train you on industry projects, to give you all the necessary experience. All of the theory that you have that is needed for you is like, I would say, 20% of this course overall. 80% are the projects, and I have prepared a lot of fun projects that we will work on. You will have my support while working on those projects. So if you have any problems, any roadblocks, you can always contact me. You will have homework that you have to do. For example, that will be mostly installing or setting up your environment. And yeah, basically, I think that will be it. Also, like, I also be holding a workshop about cybersecurity tomorrow at the same time. That's also really important if you really want to get into the DevOps. Basically, cybersecurity and security overall is very important to know. Any position that you work in, basically, you have to know a great deal about security, and you need to know how to secure everything. I think that easiest way that you can get promoted, or easiest position that you can get in any, basically in any organization that works online, is cybersecurity. Or if you are already working in any organization, if you try getting is cybersecurity, if you try to get into the cybersecurity and you try to apply stuff that you learn there to your organization, I think like with 80% of confidence that you will 100% get promoted, because stuff that you will learn is like unreal, I would say. Okay, as I said, audience, developers, IT professionals, students, anyone who is interested into learning DevOps. These are some of the principles. There are many principles, I would say, that you need to understand. And from like theory, I would say that principles, best practices, strategies, tips are most important to know, because you won't get anywhere if you just learn like a book. If you just learn everything and just like you can spit it out, but you do not understand what you have learned. And that's where I think principles come in really handy, because I would say that they are basically rules that you have to follow all the time. So some of the principles are to establish a culture of collaboration and shared ownership among development and operation teams. Basically, that's your primary task as a DevOps engineer. You have to be that link that connects operations and development teams. As I said before, in the history, that was the biggest problem, and basically that was the biggest purpose of the DevOps engineer itself. Also implementing continuous integration and continuous delivery to improve the speed and quality of the software delivery. You can basically imagine that you find an organization that doesn't have a DevOps engineer, and they have something in production. Basically, that's impossible, but let's say theoretically. The speed at which they would deliver that product, and by comparison, if you joined as a DevOps engineer, the speed would be greatly increased by like, let's say 90%. And you probably know that in the business world, speed is money. Like how fast you do something really is important. We'll also go over how to do a continuous integration and how to do a continuous delivery. Infrastructure as a code to automate provisioning, configuration, and management of infrastructure. As I said before, in DevOps, there are a lot of automation that you will have to know and that you will do, because doing everything manually really doesn't make sense. And doing everything, creating automations for everything will just make your life and job much, much easier. Implementing monitoring and logging to ensure reliability and availability of systems. As I said before, you will have to monitor a lot of stuff, because you aren't doing stuff manually, you're doing automatically. So you will have to know a couple of softwares for monitoring and logging, and you will need to know what you're looking at, how to use that data, and using automation to reduce errors and improve efficiency in all aspects of software delivery. Basically, if you remove human error from the equation, you will get much more efficient and risk-free solution in anything that you do. And I think, yeah, this is all for the presentation. Like, if you all have any questions, you can ask them now. You can ask them in a chat. I'll try to look at the chat right now.
If anybody has any question, you can unmute and ask, or you can use the chat.
Yeah, whatever works for you. You can also unmute and ask me any questions that you have, or you can ask in the chat. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, like from the principles side of thing, as a DevOps engineer, you will have to test and experiment a lot. Basically, you will have to implement testing to ensure the quality and reduce the risk of defects. Basically, you will have to experiment a lot and iterate through mistakes. Basically, imagine it like this: uh, you will have to have same mistake a couple of times until you find a solution for it, and after that you will just get another mistake, and basically that's how it works. You'll use feature flags, you'll mostly experiment with stuff in the automation stuff things, and yeah, also you need to will also learn a couple of methodologies, programming methodologies, and one culture that you will have to embrace is a blameless culture. Basically, you need to as a DevOps engineer, you need to encourage learning and improvements after failure in your organization. You basically need to be that link that connects all the developers and all operations together. You will also be a team leader as a DevOps engineer. You will also have to establish a team, and you will have to coordinate and manage implementation of various practices. As I said before, security practices are very important here. So you have to get very familiar with securing software development lifecycle, improving security, and improving compliance. Um, you will also need to plan and implement disaster recovery plans. Uh, like, for example, you will ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario in this situation? And you will have to implement a disaster recovery plan. Basically, to ensure that in the event of an outage or unpredictable event, you have a plan to ensure the availability of the systems. And yeah, basically, we will mostly be using microservice architecture that will greatly improve your maintainability and scalability of the systems. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask them right now.
Thank you, Goran. That was a great session. Uh, so I just want to know, are the students in the participant? Everyone are students or working professionals are also there? Like the mic is working, so you can unmute and say something, or you can use the chat box. Okay, Yogesh is working, and I can see Apeksha, Ayush, Khushi, Pradanya, Prashant. Okay, so we have students here also. So, are you looking for a career in DevOps? Do you want to join DevOps or looking for um, that career? Or is it just that you want to have some idea of this course, of this field? So if there is no question, then I think we can end the session.
All right.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, thank you all for your attention, and I hope we'll hear each other tomorrow at the cybersecurity workshop. Basically, we'll also have a quick session covering cybersecurity best practices and some principles about cybersecurity. And yeah, that will be all. Thank you all for your attention and have a wonderful day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.